Hello everyone and welcome back to another brand new video. Today we are attempting to break HRC's pole record from last weekend's Suzuka 8Hr. Now of course we are going to be on a superbike, a world superbike at that, so the regs are slightly different, but we're going to try and play around with it, but more of that on in the video. So we have a 2055. Qualifying for the Suzuka 8Hr is a average of everyone's lap times, and it's not an exact science of what the fastest lap is, so it is going to be the pole time that actually took P1, not the technical fastest lap of the Saturday's practice. So it is time now to jump over and see how we get on. So the big difference between the bike I'm on right now and what they would have been on actually at the Suzuka 8Hr is actually horsepower. So obviously I can't alter this Honda in any way, shape or form other than fuel mapping, which is exactly what we're going to do. So this Honda puts out about 250 brake horse. Now it is never going to be exact because it is the current race bike and they do not like to leave figures like that out there, but it is rumored to be around 240, 250, 260 in depending on which manufacturer you're talking about. But we're going to say this Honda is 250 roughly. The current endurance race bikes are around 200 now. The big reason why they're a little less is because they have to last so much longer. Easiest way to make an engine last a little longer is turning down the fueling and just make it a little bit, shall we say, less detonating to run and hard on itself. So to run these long endurance races, they are limited to about 200 horsepower. So by me putting this in the wet mapping, I'm hoping to get roughly around the same power as I would the current endurance bikes. So we have the correct track layout, so everything should be as accurate as I can. And we're going to see what we actually can get near it. I'm going to be surprised if on this wet mapping we can actually get close, to be honest, as I'd imagine it might be a bit too soft. But here we go, first attempt is go. Now Zarker was clocked at 186 miles an hour into turn 1 in qualifying. My first lap there with the wet mapping was 189, so we're not a million miles off. But that doesn't usually mean it'll translate to the whole lap. Most typical chicane at this track, this tight little twisty one. Many men have gone straight onto that chicane. Now we rapidly approach the fastest corner on this track, 130R. About 187 on the clock before we get to braking. I reckon we're going to be quite a way off with this lap, to be honest. Very difficult this last chicane to even spot it, never mind get through cleanly. We've managed to do it. Feels clunky though. Up the line. What is the lap time? Oh wow. So we are quite a bit off. I'll put on screen the time I have to beat, but my reckoning is over 3 seconds. And we are completely on the default setting, so bike won't be at its fastest. We're not on the fastest tires either, so we might need to try them to find that difference, but we are going again. As on GP bikes, laps 3 and onwards are usually our best laps in terms of temperature with the tires. Oh, big moment into 130R. Left a bit on the table in here in the last lap. Let's try can we find it. .4 faster, it's a 207.5. So we're closer. And that felt like a pretty good lap, so I'm not really sure what else we can do. So I am going to go and change the setup. I didn't really want to originally. I originally wanted to just leave it completely stock and see, but we are going to do a little bit of fettling. I think just tires really are the main thing, so I might stick the SEQ in. Again, slight differences in tire between the superbikes and the endurance class, so it's never going to be exact. And we might actually try full power mode because I think just maybe I'm losing too much time by running that such a wet mapping that's probably not accurate to exactly what they ran, even with a 30-40 horsepower deficit. So as we leave the pits now, 207.5 is our fastest. The actual lap time we have to beat is a 205.5, so we're nearly bang on 2 seconds off the moment. So hopefully with the addition now of the sticky SEQ front and rear and the full fuel map, and as well I've taken pretty much over half the tank out of it. We start off with 22 litres, we're now down to 8 litres, so big changes. Hopefully it'll make me go faster. And yeah, 2 seconds, a lot to find, but it is over a 2-minute lap, so I'm hoping on the run to 130R, the start finish straight with the full flow of fuel, that could be 2 or 3 tenths per straight there. Hopefully, maybe I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself, but the SEQ tire as well, maybe it might give me a bit of an advantage. Now, I'm a bit skeptical over an SEQ front. Usually a soft, sticky front is not the style of tire I would actually gel with, to be honest, but we're going to try it anyway just for the video and see what we can get out of it. But We're going to probably do this out lap. We're going to do one flying lap to get a bit of a guiding of how the bike will react with less fuel and the different tires, and then we'll probably come back to lap 2 to see what we can actually do. So even here on my out lap, I can just feel these tires are so much softer. The bike moves around a lot more wheel spin. So I reckon this first run, 3 or 4 laps, will probably be just to get the tires in the window for tire temps and pressures. Back to the pit, make a little adjustment, and then we'll probably see some speed. Because to be honest with you, the bike is feeling out now. I will admit it does take a couple of laps to come in, but I reckon the tires have basically the wrong pressures in them, and they're going to feel a bit like balloons. Because the bike, even on this out lap, is really protesting when I try and put the power down. So this first lap here, just going to be to kind of get the tires up and awake and see what it really does when I give it a bit. But we're already finding time down the pit straight by having the fuel turned up, which is good. The only other difference I've made as well is just the... Oh, just on cue. I was going to say I've turned the engine braking up a click just to make it a bit more stronger. And we've had that. Now, I reckon that is a mix of tyre pressures being wrong. If you look at the over 100 degrees on the rear right when I lost it there. So that's no surprise as well with the additional engine braking as well, pulling the rear down a bit more. So, yeah, this whole run here is probably going to be just kind of a trial and error to get the bike a bit better. But, yeah, not a good start. Yeah, we're carrying a bit, about 4 miles an hour more into 130R. I did go on the grass there on the outside because I was looking at my speedo, so I'd say 5 miles an hour is probably what we're looking at. It doesn't seem to get to the top speed any faster. It just seems at the very tip top of the 6th gear in the rev range, it just has a bit more push forward. So we probably don't gain too much in acceleration, but this will be our first actual lap to see if we're any quicker with these little setup changes. So on the way to 130R, it's about 7/10 at the moment. We're down into 206s. One thing I have noticed though is that the bike is a lot harder to ride with the lower fuel and the full power mapping. So as much as I have gone a lot quicker, it was a lot more on the edge. So it's definitely more now what I feel like a super bike instead of the endurance bike, because the endurance bikes are well known for being pliable, and they like to kind of, for reference, they're one of the easiest bikes to ride is probably the wrong way to say it, but from a top superbike perspective, they are quite a well achievable bike to ride. Alex Lowe's has said in the past that the greatest bike he's ever rode was the Suzuka 8Hr R1. He said he could just take so much lean, it was so soft, it was just comfortably, and it was just plush compared to obviously the actual world super bikes he's raced and the GP bikes he's ridden. So it just shows that the endurance bikes are always a bit more comfortable and just easier to achieve the lap time, because you kind of have to be able to get that out of a bike that you need to ride for an hour stint or 2 hours or whatever it may be at a go. So we're probably now just starting to get to a point where we're making this too much of a super bike, a world super bike at that, and it's protesting a lot and moving around, and really have to squeeze a lot out of the laps to get anything. But we're going to just keep going. I've just done this lap here just really to get another lap on the tires, just to see what the tire temperatures are like when I go on the back. I'm going to pit at the end of this lap, but we're going to keep going basically just to get the data in, just so I want to see what my tire pressures have done, because tire pressures play a huge part in this game as in real life. So we're back on track now. We've made our tire pressure changes. They weren't as far off as I thought. They were only maybe half a PSI out, so maybe if I did more laps. I think the big issue with these queues is when the 2 or 3 laps of pushing on them, then the incredible drop of wear comes in, and then the temperature spike, and then the pressure's going to go all over the place, and that's probably what I'm used to seeing. But 1 or 2 laps on them there, 1 or 2 push laps, and they seem to take it pretty well. So slight adjustment, so I should be able to get closer to my limit. But I think at this point in time now, the bike setup is the limiting factor for me. It just feels so... I don't feel like I'm in contact at all with the road at all. I'm just drifting along on top of it, which is really affecting the way I'm entering a lot of these corners, because I can't really stop the bike in the way I'd like to, and a lot of the issues is getting out of it. It's just so much spin. So big thing to note is for the Suzuka 8Hr is that track would have been absolutely rubbered up to hell. It would have been the most kind of grippiest track you'd ever see, because there'd be so much bike action over the last few days with testing. The practice session, just so many laps would have been done that the track would have been really rubbing in, whereas the track I'm on here is pretty green. So that's definitely worth half a second, I'd reckon, in my eyes. So we might be able to get down in. If I can get a 205, I'll be absolutely chuffed, because that would put me relatively close to the front. But yeah, I think beating Zarko is going to be a bit of a stretch here today, but we're going to give another run and see what we can get out of it for the final run. Yeah, that's that lap gone. I could feel the whole way through the snake there. It's just I feel so tentative on the edge of the tyre because the bike just moves around so much. I can't really... Again, it just goes back to the tyres not really feeling great on this mod for me. Just at the edge of the grip, it just feels like at any moment the bike let go. I don't have any sort of give with the tyre, unfortunately, and these are the softest of the soft, so they should move around to give a bit of feeling. But unfortunately for me, they don't, so it just feels like at any moment I could just snap like you saw there. And of course, GP Bikes is pretty well known as well for having some queer physics when you're on some sort of elevation. So the uphill first sector, I reckon I'm actually losing a lot of time compared to the real life, because I just really can't roll through and attack the edge of the tyre like I like. So again, see, I just grab the handful there, just prove it again that as soon as, oh, didn't expect that crash, as soon as you kind of get a bit of sliding, the bike just snaps on you. So it's kind of hard to keep this bike in line and also try and push the limit. So we have about 2 laps left in our run and in our video, I suppose, and we're still a long way off. Oh, that was a big lockup. Slot. Nope. Ah. I think even if I do complete that lap, I still really only end up with a mid to low 206. To find that extra time, oh, I'd need a long time with setting that bike up. The bike just for me is not working. I feel on edge everywhere. We saw into, was it Degna 2, where you probably won't see it through the screen, but the front was absolutely hopping. We're going to actually watch back and replay and see if we can see it. So entry now to Degna 1 is Degna 2, where's the issue. We're going to put it down to we'll go quarter speed just to get a good example of how much it chatters. Really using all of the road, and then as soon as you get down to the end of the fork, it just, see, look at the front wheel, it just wants to tuck the whole way into the corner, and I felt that the whole way through the controller, and I just knew that there was a 50-50 chance we make the corner or we end up in the wall there. But just kind of shows really the limits I'm pushing to even get to this sort of lap time. And you can saw basically the last corner, I absolutely took the kind of piss with trying to brake so late, and it just, the bike just slid on into the corner, which is one of the unfortunate things with this mod, is that I do feel it just glides across the tarmac a lot of times instead of actually gripping, which kind of cost us in the last chicane. Well then guys, it is proven we are not as good as Johan Zarko. I could have told you before the video, but nonetheless it was good to see. We ended up about 1.3 off of his actual pole time, and of course the Suzuka 8Hr is kind of like an accumulative of both riders and the average lap time, so it's not an exact lap time, because I believe the fastest lap time was actually a high 204. So we're even further off the fastest, but if we're going off of technically what came as pole position, it was not a million miles off. Like I said, maybe with a bit more of a rubber track in and a bit more setup time, I reckon I'd get there. But on a green track like that, with them tyres, I really struggled to get close. But I still felt like I put in a pretty good performance to even get that close. So I hope you have enjoyed. I should see you again in the not so distant future with another video. Thanks for watching. Slán go fóill púglaí.